Everybody, video here for you today. This is kind of a remake of a video I did over 2.5 years ago. I've had some requests for this, and I mentioned it in my Cahokia video from last week. Let's go down to St. Louis today, right down here, right near the Stan Musial Bridge, one of my favorite baseball players of all time. This bridge is named after him, right here. There is a little plaque down here, little memorial. One of the biggest mounds that we had in the ancient United States. Let's go right down here, take a peek. It says Mound City, St. Louis, often referred to as Mound City, was once dotted with over 40 Indian mounds, and I think that's a little conservative. One of the larger mounds, Big Mound, was located near this spot. Here's a story that came out less than a month ago, a look back, Big Mound in St. Louis, legacy of a lost culture, leveled in 1869. Here are some historical looks at the Big Mound. This is a watercolor done in 1817. Here is another watercolor done in that same time period, around 200 years ago. Look from the top of the mound. Here's a look at the mound in 1852, eroding away. I think by this time it was about 158 by 360 feet in its eroded form. Here's a look from 1869 when the big mound is being taken out. Notice the shape of it there, probably like the mound at Cahokia as far as its shape. Here, 1869, the final destruction of the mound. They are documented in here. Here's the last remnant of one of the biggest mounds we probably had in the central United States at the time. Here's a look today, what the area looks like. Here is the Sugarloaf Mound, one of the only other surviving mounds in St. Louis. And I believe the local tribe in the area has purchased this home here. That is a look at a home built right into a mound in St. Louis. The final destruction of the mound began in late 1868 and was finished by 1869. But they used the natural material from this mound for fill when they built the Northern Missouri Railroad nearby. By early 1869, they had no more mound to haul away for the railroad. That's a look about 151 years ago at a spot in St. Louis. Here's what it looks like today. Here's a story from 8 years ago. Ancient suburb near St. Louis could be lost forever. Here is an archaeological dig site. It says archaeologists and crew members from the Illinois State Archaeological Survey work at an East St. Louis dig site, which is believed to be a suburb of the ancient city of Cahokia. There, they are digging down in the ground, looking for some lost history here. And this place was definitely a twin city of Cahokia nearby. Illinois State Archaeological Survey crew members scraped the soil in search of Cahokian artifacts. The crumbling smokestacks of a 19th century meatpacking plant are visible in the background, along with a bulldozer working on current interstate freeway construction. This story, once again, is from about 8 years ago. Research coordinator Joe Galloy looks on as crew members excavate a large storage pit at the dig site. Archaeologists are not sure of its original function, but the Cahokians may have used it to store corn or other food. Later on, they threw their trash into it, including the bones of deer and fish, and pieces of broken clay pots and bowls. Here's a pretty cool artifact found at the site, a human figurine, maybe going back 800,000 years. But 8 years ago, they were worried because once this highway project was done, 90% of the site would be covered under private construction, and this history would be lost forever. And they said only 5 to 10% of this archaeological site had been excavated at this time in 2012. But the story of Cahokia here is Monk's Mound. Base of this covers 12 football fields. And think about that, carrying baskets full of dirt to construct this project. And there was other things, just not just dirt put on here. This is a pretty good construction coming from maybe 1,000 years ago, they say. But when telling the story of this area, you got to tell the story of the big mound in St. Louis, this twin city of Cahokia. People were coming from all around ancient America to visit here. There are artifacts found here from Georgia, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Louisiana, shell beads from the Gulf of Mexico. Here, documenting the last moments of Very sacred place, probably. Place that was probably just as important as Monk's Mound across the river. Here's a drawing of St. Louis, over 100 years old. The big mound is at the far right there. Then we go over to this old pic, Forest Park. Over 16 mounds were removed from this area. I will leave this link below also. It says these mounds were destroyed in preparation for the 1904 World's Fair. Has a little mapping here where some mounds existed in St. Louis. Has some pretty interesting history of the big mound. I'll leave the link below if you want to read it. It says during its removal, 32 burials were found within its two chambers, one of which was estimated to be 20 feet below the surface of the mound. Spring of 1869, says Reverend Stephen Dennison, who was present as the mound was destroyed, wrote this. It was found to contain a sepulchral chamber, which was about 72 feet in length, 8 to 12 feet wide, and 8 to 10 feet in height, the walls sloping and plastered, as the marks of plastering tools could be plainly seen. 24 bodies were placed upon the floor of the vault a few feet apart with their feet towards the west. The bodies arranged in a line with the longest axis. A number of bones, beads, and seashells drilled with small holes in quantities sufficient to cover each body from the thighs to the head were found. So plastered, vault, what does that mean? That's pretty interesting. So just reading those reports, you got to wonder what they found. A burial vault, plastered, makes you wonder what the lost history here is all about today. You can just sit here and wonder, only your imagination to use. Here's another very old drawing, the big mound in St. Louis. It says, at one point in the 1820s, a small resort building was constructed on the top of the mound. Its only rival in size was the mound, demolished to make way for Colonel John O'Fallon's mansion in the 1850s. In 1875, 10 years after O'Fallon's death, his mansion burned. It was demolished completely in 1893, now the site of O'Fallon Park. I just thought this was a good one to review today. This is the view off a mound that was taken out here in 1869. Lost history for sure. Had to be an important site across from Cahokia. This mound was probably shaped like Monk's Mound. The mound carted away to make fill for a railroad track system. Today, just a pic. Little plaque here, East St. Louis. That is the video coming from St. Louis across the river from Cahokia today. Just a few little reminders of what once existed here. About 1,000 years ago, they were probably living harmoniously with the land. Today, well, that's a look from the site. That's the big mound of St. Louis, removed 1869. There was a large city down here. It was the twin city of Cahokia, which is located right there. That's how close they are, almost directly east-west from each other. But that's a very important place to talk about because it no longer exists. Who would know about it if nobody talked about it? I thought that was interesting. You all have. Very nice day.